Welcome back, everyone. I'm Eric. This is Driveline. Good to have you back. We crossed 9,000 subscribers on the channel. Thank you so much for that. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe to the channel. We're growing, continuing to put new videos up. Got a lot of things happening here over the next couple months as we go into the fall, and I think it's going to be really exciting. But let's jump right into this. I'm going to be a little bit of I'm beating a dead horse here, and longtime subscribers have heard this before from me, but it's just one of those things, that just gets under my skin. And it is the constant railing at us by all the experts and the analysts and all the professionals, trust the experts, all that, telling us that the economy is booming and everything is great and we've got nothing to worry about and everything's going to be good. And a lot of us are kind of sitting out here going, wait, what? We're not seeing this, right? And it's especially close to me because I own a business that has multiple trucks pulling refrigerated freight across the lower 48 in the United States. And I think probably like a lot of industries, we're getting hit pretty hard because we're not seeing any growth in wages. In fact, in a lot of ways, we're seeing decrease in wages in the trucking industry. And I'm not one that's going to complain and say, hey, someone come in and do something from the federal government or give us a handout or give us this or give us that, or we want regulation to have minimums and all this. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the reality is, if you are a truck driver right now, be that in the spot market or in refrigerated freight, dry van, whatever it is, the chances are pretty high that you're not seeing any more success or any more growth in your wages versus where you were 5 years ago. But that's not what you hear from the professional expert class. And this is going to be a video that's a little bit more generalized. The last time I did a video rant about this, it was more towards trucking it specifically, but I think I want to get more towards the economy in general on this video. And I'm doing so as a response to what the White House and the Trump administration has come out and said with their recent post saying the economy is booming, guys. The economy is on fire. It's booming. Everything's just lit. And essentially what this is around now, there was a jobs report that was out there. I don't want to get too much into that because I'm not an economist. I'm not an analyst by any stretch. But the thing that really grabbed me was that they're looking at the 4% average growth in hourly earnings over the previous year. 4%, okay? Now, that is one of their three key indicators of why and how the economy is on fire and booming right now. But as we've pointed out, and as it has been proven time and again, this is not some magic illusion or just, some nerdy trucker guy saying this. I think it's widely accepted that inflation over the past 5 years has been in the range of anywhere from 30 to 40%. And in many areas, a lot higher. And I'm going to show you that here shortly. But 30 to 40% just on everything, all the goods. We see this in trucking. It's right in our faces in trucking. We need things like gloves and load locks and engine oil and coolant and anti-gel and all this stuff. And all of that has increased between 30 and 40% over the past 5 years. The cost of everything that we do in trucking, every tool that we might need, washouts, if you go get a washout, that's increased. Blue Beacon increased it by, I think, exactly 35% over the last 5 years. I've used that as an example before. So all of our costs have increased by a minimum of 30 to 40%. Now, if they're going to say this 4% on average hourly wages is an indicator that the economy is booming, I'm just going to react and say, well, where's the 30 to 40% over the last 5 years? And especially for those of us in trucking, we're seeing that the costs have expanded by 30 or 40%, but our gross revenues to the trucks have increased by 0%. We're not getting any more average gross revenue to the truck, but our costs have increased by 30 to 40%. So we're getting absolutely annihilated. But anyway, that's, again, I'm beating a dead horse. So what I want to take a look at is a couple things here. I'm going to play a little bit of a video as well for you. But the first thing that I wanted to point out, because I saw someone had posted, and I couldn't find the post, but I saw someone had really gone after somebody when they came in. They were talking about, well, someone was talking about the cost of financing a home, the absolutely outrageous price that they were seeing on a home that a couple years ago or 5 years ago would have been $150,000, and now this home in their neighborhood was selling for, or trying to be sold for, like $375,000 or something like that. Okay, and one of these analysts comes back and says, well, if you break all that down with the amount that you want to put down, if you can't make an $1,800 a month mortgage payment, then you have no business buying a home. Well, first of all, $1,800 is just the mortgage payment. That's not the property taxes. That's not, all the other costs that are involved in your monthly cost for that home. You're going to have a lot more cost involved there. Your property insurance, all your utilities, maintenance, all that. So $1,800, first of all, is just like, that's the mortgage payment in the contract, right? But the interesting thing about that is that I went and looked, and it turns out that if you're renting, you're kind of being stuck with that same amount of money anyway right now. So basically everybody's having to pay these kinds of prices. It's not just that, oh, well, if you can't pay $1,800 a month in mortgage, you have no business buying a home. The people that you're telling this are having to pay $1,800 or $2,000 a month in rent. Okay, so it's not just, but anyway, my point of bringing this up, the reason that I have Springfield, Missouri here is that my wife and I, about 5 years ago, I want to say, for a very short term, rented a crash pad in Springfield, because that's where the main terminal is for the company that we pull refrigerated freight is. So we got a crash pad here because we were running team. This was before my son was born. And I'm not going to give the specific location of where we rented this crash pad, but I'll just say it was in this circle, okay? In this circle. And it wasn't a big home, but I think it was 2-bedroom, 2-bath in a cul-de-sac. Pretty nice, it was a nice place. Honestly, we miss it. We miss having it. But here's the kicker, you guys. 5 years ago, we were paying $700 a month for this 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I want to say it's a duplex would be what you would call it. It had another one attached to it. It was multi-level, had a garage underneath it, had its own private backyard and all that. Really nice little place. $700. Okay, that's what we were paying per month for $700. And of course, that's not our utilities and all of that. I think this is about 5 years ago. So I come here and I look, and I don't want to open any of these up because, again, I'm not trying to tell everybody where we lived or anything like that. But I will say that with the parameters that I had looked, that we'd kind of lived in back then during the time of having that crash pad, the cheapest in that area, in that circle, the absolute cheapest that I can find with similar parameters is $1,500 a month. So you're talking about an over 100% increase in just the rent for Springfield, Missouri, for where we lived 5 years ago, which was $700 a month. Over 100% just for the rent. Okay, so it's set aside the 30% or the 20% or whatever you want to accept for what inflation has been over the past 5 years. For housing, for a lot of people, depending on where you live, you could be seeing 75% or 100%, or in some places 150 or 200% increase in what your cost is to rent a place, much less own or buy a place. And that's money that you don't have to spend anywhere else. Now, why did this get on my radar today? Well, this got on my radar today because Amazon's pushing back on this, and I want to be fair and I want to give the whole side of this. I'm not sure that I buy it, but let's just take a look at this. This is via Yahoo Finance, Bloomberg. Amazon.com Inc. took a big gamble this year by expanding its annual Prime Day summer sale to 4 days from 2, betting the extension would give shoppers more time to navigate the millions of deals on its sprawling web store. And we come down here. Some of the preliminary results are grim, raising the stakes for the event's remaining days. Momentum Commerce, which manages online sales for 50 brands in a variety of product categories and price points, says its Amazon sales plunged 41% on Tuesday when compared with the start of Prime Day last year. There's another story in here. I don't have that one pulled up. Let's see if this one. Okay, yeah, momentum commerce sales over the 4 days could still increase 9.1% compared with last year's 2-day event if more browsers make purchases in the final days. Now, also in another story that I found, Momentum Commerce said that they were expecting that increase to be 14%. So now, when they were expecting the increase to be 14%, they're just at this point hoping that those numbers come in at a 9.1% increase. But overall, on the first day, it dropped 41%. 41%. Now, going back to the Trump White House numbers and the 4% and what I'm saying with the rental, and all that good stuff, the price of the rentals and the price of homes and all that. If you're pointing to a 4% increase in hourly wages and you're saying that that's proof that the economy is booming while ignoring all this other stuff that's out there, Amazon seeing 41% decrease in sales on its Prime days, everybody having to pay 100%, or not everybody, but most, if not definitely most Americans, I think probably are paying 50, 75, 100% or more in their housing cost, plus the 30 to 40% increase in everything else. My thing here, and this is just me as a dumb trucker, I'm not even an economist or anything, but I'm saying, okay, why can we not accept the reality that most Americans have no money? Or if not have no money, certainly have only, they're certainly at the position where they only have enough money to go buy groceries, right? Or the money that they have is what they're saving to buy groceries. So let's take a look at this video here. I'm going to play this little clip. This is Michael Bordenaro. I'll put the link in the description down below. He's really he analyzes more real estate. He's a big real estate guy. But he has this clip that came out, looks like about 3 weeks ago. I want you to listen to what he says here.
There's a new survey that polled 2,000 employed Americans who make $75,000 a year or less. So that is still basically the household median income right there. And the typical American spends about 43% of their paycheck within the first 3 days after receiving it, in addition to roughly 51% that's pre-spent mentally. So if anyone's keeping track, 51% plus 43% is already 94%. 94% of Americans' paychecks are already spent within the first 3 days of getting it, and half of it's spent before they even get it. And here's the most ridiculous part. Out of all those people, only 20% of them do not run out of money or otherwise have to live on a tight budget in the days leading up to their paycheck, which means 80% of people are running out of money or have to pull back severely for a few days before getting that next check. That's really the literal definition of being paycheck to paycheck, guys.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, what he's saying here is, I just don't think that many of us are going to disagree with this. Now, look, if you're in a boat where you're in a better position than you were 5 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever, good for you. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. It of course does, and it always will. And I hope that you can maintain that. I hope that you've found a good situation for yourself. And I'm not envious of you, and I don't think anyone should be envious of you. I'm happy for you. But you need to understand that by this survey, and I've got to see if I can find it. If I can find a link of the survey, because he mentioned it in a video after that, 80% of Americans are basically in that paycheck to paycheck scenario, and then the 94% is either planning to spend that money within the first 3 days or actually spending that money within the first 3 days after getting their paycheck. And that's the vast majority by far of those in the median income bracket. That means that the vast majority of those in the median income have no money by the time they're a day out from their next paycheck. So this 4% increase being pointed to as one of the three biggest indicators that the economy is booming is absolute bullshit. the economy is not booming. Now, why am I saying all that? I'm not saying all this to just be doom and gloom. I'm saying all this because you need to understand that this is just because you see headlines out there that are saying, oh, the economy's doing great and everything's on fire and it's booming. It's lit. Go, go, go. Build, build, build. Pump the brakes, man. This is still the time where you need to be absolutely vicious in finding ways that you can save money and cut cost and only spend on what is absolutely necessary so that you can continue to weather the storm. Because there are a ton of companies, trucking companies, and probably a lot of businesses in whatever industry you might work in if you're not in the trucking business, that are closing their doors right now because they thought that things were getting better or things were going to get better. They saw stories like this and, oh, the economy's booming. Let's go ahead and add another truck, or let's go ahead and add another employee to do this for yard work or whatever it is. And the truth is the economy is not there. Most people don't have money. And none of these experts are talking about that. They're just saying, oh, well, we've got a lot more containers coming into port and we've got this and the tariffs are doing this and it's going to have this ripple effect into the economy. People do not have money. And what little money we have, we're only spending on groceries. That's not all the case. If your TV breaks, you're going and replacing that TV, but you're not adding 3 more TVs just because you have 3 extra rooms. We're in a different world right now, and the economy is not good, you guys. It eats me up when I see these guys on X, especially in the freight industry, trying to point to all these graphs and statistics and the old way of measuring success in the industry and saying, see, it looks like things. And by the way, these are the same people who've predicted for the past year that next quarter the rates are going to get better. Next quarter, the capacity is going to get better. We should see everything. In fact, last quarter, they were saying, just wait until the build up for the 4th of July. We're going to have that bump. We didn't have that bump. Okay. Rates are not improving. Capacity is not really improving. It's not really balancing out. Everybody's struggling. I've got friends right now that are losing their dedicated lanes that they've had for years, not with the carrier that I pull for, but that they've had for years and they thought would never be touched. And the carrier that they pull for is not what's messing it up for them. What's messing it up for them is that several of the customers along the lane of the dedicated lane that they're pulling for are closing shop and going out of business. So their dedicated lanes are evaporating. Okay, so now is it just continue to hunker down. This is not the time to go trying to, just be careful when you see these headlines and when you see these analysts telling you that everything's great and everything's good and this is a time to go full ham. It's not. That's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Are you in the same boat and surrounded by everybody who's in the same boat of, if you have money, you're using it very wisely and only for things that you absolutely need right now? We're not out there just blowing money on umbrellas for the patio and all that on Amazon. And the economy is not doing. I'd love to know your thoughts on this because I'm dumbfounded. I'm just not seeing it. I've got a couple people on my network that are doing really well, but I would say probably 3 out of 4 of the people that I know are on the absolute struggle bus right now. And I'm just not getting what's going on here. So it drives me absolutely batty when it's just this constant barrage of, everything's great. And the truth is we're being pissed on and told that it's rain. That's what it all comes down to, guys. All right. Be safe. Make good decisions. Drive to thrive. Talk to y'all soon.